이번에 2024년 7월 월별파이널이 열렸습니다. 그중 결승 경기인 에너비아이 팀과 크레이지 레쿤 팀의 경기를 가져왔습니다. 그럼 보러 가시죠.
set of maps that you have. That's a lot of practice that takes away from the more impactful
If Coco Loco, Crazy Raccoon, who this month just look a little
on their sides. And
such a mercurial and ever-changing region, being the only team to win multiple monthly finals. That is huge. Ready, we'll let you step aside. We'll catch up with you after this game. It's going to be myself and Kenny jumping into it here. It is going to be time for some heist. The map, well, it looks a little different in some ways. Hot Potato, one we're pretty familiar with. That features obviously that very interesting center part of the map. We can bounce a lot of shots. We've seen Rico be very strong here before. And two very long side lanes on either side.
This is a map of old, but a meta of a new Uber. There's a lot of different playmakers here that you're going to see. Buzz in the band stage. Cordelius even in the band stage. A little bit wild here. Again, we're going to continue to see Barry just be removed from the equation. But a brawler that
Do they want to play Chuck?
I think it's debatable. I think the Colette makes sense to me as grabbing a first overall pick, just being so good in Heist. And in this meta in particular, too, obviously with so many tanks being elevated in the recent balance changes, BB, of course, going to be a strong one for this map. Colette is going to be an excellent counter into that, so I can't really fault them for that. Chuck's an iffy one here. It's going to take a little bit of thought process here with Cordelius removed. I think it gives you a little more leeway into going with that. I feel like a lot more than usual, though. We've been seeing players maybe elect not to go for Chuck for much, but that's probably just due to his 72% ban rate. So most of the time, we're not even asking this question.
Right, but obviously this month where, we're also on a map where Rico is an instant ban, and also everyone is trying to avoid having to play against Barry, makes it a little bit more interesting here. We do have the M's, though, very good for controlling that middle part of the map, and of course, Colette very good at getting that free safe damage in general. It's going to be the Barley. So, we're thinking, the ban of a big Chuck counter might sort of allow him in, but Crazy Raccoon have never really gone for the Chuck. They've actually preferred to try and play against it and counter it when it's been relevant here. Na'Vi, though, do have a last pick, and it's going to be Edgar getting picked up. Oh, man, okay. This is a spicy pick.
I actually really like this pick when looking at the enemy brawlers, right? It takes some precision. It's not always the easiest brawler to pick your battles with. Obviously, hitting the shots, the easiest part. It's charging up that super, engaging properly that does so well. But on Hot Potato in particular, there's a lot of history here with Edgar on this map into Barley on a one-on-one. If he can dive in, great matchup. Ims, especially when exhausted from those gadgets, gonna be a great matchup. And Colette, honestly, a good one on paper too. I think this could be a sneaky 6 pick for them.
Straight away, Suzuku obviously with a gadget to bring that super up a little bit earlier. Just dives on Shitampo and flattens him. Healing tonic or not, there is very little Barley's going to be able to do in that 1 versus 1. Still though, free super from Tensai gets some safe damage. It's decent, 12% in fact, but meanwhile, Suzuku went to work on Crazy Raccoon safe, and Tensai has to play hard defense here to get rid of Levy.
Big battle for Na'Vi is just going to be charging up that Crow hypercharge. It does a lethal amount of damage with a perfectly timed super hypercharge from him. Around 50%. Tensai, of course, can put in some serious work too, though, with a hypercharge of his own. Not quite as much, but it's a little bit easier to get there. 61% to the 35-some-odd% trickling down on that Na'Vi safe. They have to play defense, and the best way to do that for Edgar is just diving in.
Tensai's done very well to turn that into a trade. That could have been ugly, and yes, well, time to collect with hypercharge hits even harder, and you're even safer in doing it. Great fundamentals there from Crazy Raccoon. They were happy to trade that safe damage, and you notice that Na'Vi didn't respect him. They sent that Edgar in. They sent that BB to the enemy safe. Crazy Raccoon said, hey, we've got better damage. We're going to pour it on thick, and we're going to beat you in the race.
They did a great job of just holding on. I mean, even though Suzuki won an early matchup into Barley, it was a little bit too easy for them as it progressed. The defense certainly strong enough for CR, but more importantly, that offense just kept on humming. Now Suzuki diving in for a different target this time. Tensai with a nicely timed gadget assistance from Moya. It's going to be a takedown there, but they might be overwhelmed with Levi and Achapi attacking the safe.
Yeah, Levi popping that gadget, getting very, very healthy, basically ignoring much of that damage. But again, Colette gonna deal well with the tankier Bibi. Tensai pops out with a super straight away. Now Suzuki, yeah, it's gotta respect the gas. Moya able to trade out pretty well. Meanwhile, Shitampo has just been going ham on this safe. Just chilling here behind this wall. Suzuki has to pop this super, and I think at that point, Shitampo knows his goose is cooked. Tensai matches up pretty favorably against Levi here, even with a gotcha gadget for the extra healing. But eventually those BB swings start to leave a mark.
Tensai held off on using that super and hypercharge combination for defense. It is going to do some serious work here on offense. Shreds that safe all the way down to sub 15%. Now Levi forced to multitask here. Gonna be difficult swing that bat at two enemies. Tensai gets taken down though. A dive in from Crow. Corsu's got spicy. It's gonna come down to the wire, but the damage trickling in from Satoshi.
That was fantastically played, and I think they disrespected
Games to where they just never really let their foot off the gas pedal.
And there's so much aren't really swayed by that. They've never had to play that style. They come out on top there pretty convincingly in the end.
We haven't seen Crazy Raccoon really falter today. I mean, they've been very convincing, I would say, through most of their games. I mean, they've dropped, what, one set today, and that's against the team that won it all last month. I mean, these fellas are really showing what they can do here. I'm a little nervous for Navi. I think if another one gets away from them, CR are certainly set up to go for another run here and grab their second monthly finals victory of the year. Got to remind ourselves, though, this region has been a tough one all year long, despite how good Crazy Raccoon are, despite some months Navi showing up really well. Both these teams have only won one monthly finals grand finals. This is kind of to have a little pride to get the second monthly finals of the year for this region. And also the seeding for Navi, I would say somewhat important here, right? If they end up winning this match, they're third on that list instead of fourth. That's a little bit higher seeding going into LCQ, which in the past has mattered.
Yeah, absolutely. They are only, God, 6 points behind Angelic, I think, as it stands here.
Yep.
And that's assuming that they're getting at least 70, right? So again, yeah, if they win it all, they will leapfrog Angelic into a comfortable third place. I think that matters so much because have you seen the quality of LCQ teams being sent from EMEA and potentially NA? Like, I love my STMN boys. I don't want to curse them, but they might be fighting in that position if they can get there, right? So that's crazy. It is going to be serious. Higher seeding will matter so much when we get over to that tournament. That is going to be a wild one indeed. So, Crazy Raccoon lock up the Chester straight away. This is a map, as you can see, that lends itself to his optimum range. That middle square, really good for those mid-range brawls in general. Navi this time decide on the Bali, but Crazy Raccoon will pick Mortis against you if you get too many throwers or look too vulnerable to that dive.
I wonder if we get another double thrower kind of combination here. It's a little early, I think, to make that call. I think you got to see what the other end does. I really like the Barley selection, considering that Larry Laurier banned, Barry is banned. I think this is the next best thing you can get in particular for this map, and Meg is just an excellent brawler in the game right now. I'll say it again. I feel like she's a top 3 brawler in the game overall. Just a mid-range menace. It's so good up close. You get a big baseball swipe of a swing with that super, a second life, and into so many assassins in the game right now. That star power where you can explode, push back the enemy, just gives a little extra survivability to something like Meg. So I think she's just such a good spot right now after this balance change.
She is really oppressive and actually now plays within a range that means she can potentially do more with her super, as opposed to it sitting unused for the entire game while you literally poke at people on long side lanes. Seen that a couple times today already. But we have that combo, the Byron and the Grey locked in. So there is all-in potential. Also, you know, you can moonlight as a thrower every now and then as Byron and potentially put some pressure down on that Barley. And the Stu comes up here. A pick that we have not seen much in Apac recently, but definitely one worth looking out for. Can be very powerful. I like the... Yeah, I like this composition here for Navi. I feel like they've managed to load in some very powerful brawlers. They can kind of do it all with this setup.
The one complaint I kind of have about Stu in general is his damage output is not enough to rival that of a Frank, a Lily, just so many health points. But in this matchup, they don't really have to worry about that. 5,700 for something like Byron. Satampo not going to be with a ton of HP. Tensai probably the most on their team here, and he's in the 7,000. So I think this is much more manageable for a player especially that is more than capable of utilizing this brawler.
Crazy Raccoon have to play a little bit more conservatively here at the start of the round. Satampo is actually swapping into the Barley lane to be able to pressure him. Oh, okay. He's taking the Grand Piano gadget to break up the map a little bit more. There's the dive in. And Levy was picked off, so... Do you and a Stu? And yeah, Suzuka eventually going to be run down, and Champ is in deep trouble. Does not want to be the solo brawler standing. And there is that super from Tensai for some wall break. Again, another brawler moonlighting as a thrower, at least for a moment.
That is an ideal super for them too. Breaking down those goal side walls is going to make that right-hand opportunity so much greater. They're going for this guaranteed wall break too. They're not messing around with the hook. They're just going to go straight for the Grand Piano, and now they've got the numbers matchup. The dive in from Satapo. Suzuku just trying to dribble, keep himself up a little bit longer, but the inevitable is here. It is going to be a CR goal here early in our game number 1.
Look at how much the map has opened up here. No walking cane for Shitampo means that, yeah, the map is basically going to get broken down, which is very hard for a Chappie. Great dive there. Dimensional door used by Shitampo in an instant confirm on that Bali elimination. And defensive, my God, Tensai's had the perfect super. Basically, the last 3 occasions. Before this, there was a gas on Stu, and before that, there was some wall break there. Able to zone Suzuku away, who is out of mech, but still strong enough to help a Chappie bring Shitampo down.
That's part of the luck factor with somebody like Chester. Sometimes it's going to be your game, sometimes it's not. And I think wall break is certainly going to cater towards them. They're going to be opening up this map even more. They don't want to Choppy to just be oppressive and to hide behind these walls. They want to be in a better spot to hit these long-range shots. But Levi with perfect positioning here. Moya's going to have to rush forward. With low HP, they get the damage and, more importantly, get that ball in the back of the net.
You see what happens with Crazy Raccoon starting to get forced back onto their side of the map. Shitampo breaking open the walls on his own side because Achapi is just such a nuisance. Hypercharge available here. Achapi about to make it rain, baby. Have a look at that. That last call looks absolutely terrifying. Suzuki going to be D-Mech, which only interrupts it for just a moment. And Na'Vi can close it out. Their team comp so well-rounded. Very effective to take this first round of Brawl Ball.
The final 30 seconds, just phenomenal for Na'Vi. They were able to walk their way across the map, despite the map being pretty opened up, I would say, at that point. I mean, Stu could start skating a little bit, but for Barley in particular, it's a little bit more difficult. I think that Hypercharge really showed what it could do there, though. Even in the wide open, it just has so much coverage on this map, so threatening, pushes CR back all the way, and of course, Meg can just start firing away once they're up that close.
Chappie getting poked down though, yep, eventually going to fall. This is a chance for Crazy Raccoon to take that map control here. And it's already manifested in huge mech damage on Suzuku. Tensai's able to finish the job on Levy. And that is going to be an absolute team wipe here for Crazy Raccoon, which lets them play forward. Shitampa now going to start to break some more of these boxes to continue to threaten the Chappie's existence.
And if they can get on that enemy side, Shitampa can start dropping gadgets, and with a little luck, Tensai can too, depending on the super roll he gets. Levi charging forward, though. Gonna be dueling against Tensai here. Shitampa teleports forward, gets a hand to the face, and he's slapped away. A little bounce shot, some trickery coming in from Levi here, as it's just a lone Tensai. It's not enough. Suzuku with a bucket.
Meg is just so good. Suzuka there just runs it up on Crazy Raccoon, and there's nothing they can do. The speed zone again deployed by Levy here. Meaning that it's a little bit easier to dodge some of those sharpshooter shots and keep your Meg in mech for as long as you can. Try to say that 5 times fast, folks. Suzuku here, yeah, again, will be pressured down despite that. Ball's very much in Crazy Raccoon's territory now, as Na'Vi definitely in a power trough.
Wild to see how much damage Chester does in this meta. I mean, you can see it from there, even with a shield on Meg. It was about a 2-tap with just the first and second shots in Chester's rotation. Levi without a super here, too. He's just going to be forced to kind of hope that somebody oversteps a little bit. This is where things can get tricky. Shitampo diving in. Once again, just a swipe away from Suzuku, and now barreling towards them. It's going to be a little more HP with that herbal tonic. Achapi throwing down a big-time super as well to cover up the map. Inside, though, relentless, diving in, looking for damage. It's still not enough, though, but Crazy Raccoon just keep on coming.
Feels like he maybe forgot that Suzuku is in a mech and just gets knocked out of it, and then is still able to fight to some degree. Did have the stun super up, which was important. Chappie being harassed on the other side of the wall, and eventually will fall to that ticking damaging. Crazy Raccoon, there's nothing subtle about this. It is a literal sledgehammer they've taken in the direction of Na'Vi to equalize this second round.
1-1, we'll have to see what the Mad Hatter has in the tank here. Tensai needs a good one. Na'Vi are charging their way, and it's just going to cover the ground a little bit. Moya with a boot over to the left hand in. Suzuku in the mid-range fighting against Tensai, a powered-up brawler. And Moya kind of getting creepy on this left-hand side, getting closer and closer to Levi, who doesn't have a super. Overtime inevitable, though. It's going to come down to the wide open here.
Oh, that is dirty. Tensai able to take a jumpy down there. Suzuku under extreme pressure, able to get into the mech, but is it too late? Oh, Levy blocks it with his life. Able to get there, but Achapi's hypercharge is actually going to allow him to get away. Tensai falls there. Shitampa left on his own. Can he outrace this Barley? Achapi can't score from here, and he knows it. There'll be time for Crazy Raccoon to respawn back in, but that's why Barley is getting picked right now, folks. Absolutely horrifying, that hypercharge. Suzuki to get desuited here would be very helpful for Crazy Raccoon, and already they look to pressure down, but Tensai's fallen. Levy is starting to make short work of the rest of Crazy Raccoon here, and Shitampa with no choice but to int down the left to keep this going. Levy's up here again. Tensai able to remove him. That huge damage from Buster. We've got 13 seconds left, and Crazy Raccoon are making a run for it. They've got super up on Moya.
Moya just trying to get to this ball. He has a super shot in hand, but it's 3 brawlers playing goalkeeper right now. Has 1 shot, fires. No such luck. Interception just in the nick of time. Tensai maybe could have grabbed that and walked that in, but they hold off the Titans on the other side. What a high-stakes game that ultimately resulted in a tie.
Honestly, we've kind of seen Crazy Raccoon lose out in draft and be able to claw a match back the longer it has gone. Saw that right at the start of the day against Coco Loco, and it was on Brawl Ball too. That second round looked like a great recovery here. They were fortunate, I think, to get the draw, but they could have won it a couple of points there. That Barley hypercharge kind of messed them up. So don't count them out here just yet. But they've lost Tensai already, and Suzuku could still be oppressive, even outside of mech.
Pistol power just enough to get a takedown there. Levi still in position.
With
nice. Another TP forward, and now it's just a choppy standing. Tensai has enough pressure here to where they can march forward a little bit. They've got to teleport to get to that ball rather quickly, and Tensai again with a great roll of that super. It feels like they've gotten so many wall breaks.
Yeah, basically everything Tensai has needed has come up for him in that exact moment. Important here to break open the map to set up a future goal scoring opportunity. Tensai, though, forced back by Suzuki, who overextends here inside mech, and that might come back to bite Na'Vi here. Healing tonic, though, was important as Levy was getting his hands dirty there. Dash in from Moya, and eventually they're going to be able to collapse on that stew. A Sharpie just needs to run.
Moya's just feeding heals to Tensai. It's going to allow him to be a little more aggressive. Satampo there to back him up. Now they got to deal with 2 lives. Now a pistol form for Suzuki, who strikes back. Tensai's going to fall. All of a sudden, CR are forced to run for the hills and play defense.
Unreal damage there from Moya, though. Inside a healing tonic, is still about to find an elimination on a Na'Vi player. And Suzuki, while he was out of mech, the rest of his team got bullied down. Now Crazy Raccoon have a little bit more map control to work with again. We don't know what Tensai is working with in terms of super, but the map is continuing to get broken up. That entire left side now is open thanks to another Grey gadget.
Back and forth. This game going in waves of momentum here. Satampo just trying to hold him off a little bit longer. A trade. Tensai dives in. It's going to be a switch here. Tensai with low HP drops the super. Not enough. And now a Choppy has a hypercharged super ready to go. This one is going to be intense the whole way through. We've got 30 on the clock and neither team have a bucket.
As soon as Crazy Raccoon give up map control, that Barley super is going to be the end of them. Satampo finds 2. What a beautiful double down. Dives on in with the dimensional door and finds that second pick. If not for Suzuki, this might be over already. But the Meg is still a problem. Still a thorn in the side of Crazy Raccoon and has to be respected. So much so that the super from Moya is invested. But again, it's the dive from Satampo with that steel shield gadget. It's quite tanky, this Grey coming forward. And that hypercharged super from Ajapi really just zoned the map.
Na'Vi just buying time, but CR, their presence can be felt. 3 members of the red roster hurtled around this ball. Moya with a super available. Tensai, Satampo just trying to grab this ball. They need a couple takedowns, though. Levi finally falls the TP through. Satampo catches his own pass and scores a touchdown.
So good. This is what I'm saying. Crazy Raccoon are like Goku. The longer they fight, the stronger they get. Even against the draft that we felt just coming out of it, looked very, very good for Na'Vi. The Meg, very powerful. They have the Barley. It feels like they have everything. And still, with the use of Dimensional Door, for example, taking these random engagements off the Grey Super, Crazy Raccoon are able to find these important picks. And sometimes they're able to find even more than that. That is sick. Crazy Raccoon here, keeping it even now as we're running it back.
This has been a spectacle of a set, and right now it's looking like a speed run. Suzuki trying to get the earliest goal we've seen yet. It's already one claimed for Na'Vi with only 20 seconds. That is insane.
That is not where Crazy Raccoon want to start from. You remember, this is the decider round of this whole set. Crazy Raccoon have had to fight tooth and nail to even be in an equalizing position. Now they're going to go a step further. Okay, dive from Satampo is good, and he gets out scot-free, even demecking Suzuki. We now have a power play for Crazy Raccoon. They can't score, but they can probably set Satampo up to break these walls.
Love the patience from Achapi. He could have dropped a very scary super there and may have covered up the map, bought a little bit of time, but he's going to find more value with just waiting. I think just having that button available maybe scared Crazy Raccoon off just a smidge. It bought time for Levi and Suzuki to come back. Levi doesn't make much of his life there, but nonetheless, at least holds off the offense of Crazy Raccoon a little bit longer.
Maybe tried to pressure there as much as he could with the stew. Eventually, though, just overextended. And yeah, he can't match the damage output of so many of these brawlers. That's something you alluded to earlier. Another dive from Satampo pays off. Again, you're dealing with Meg. That needs to be addressed. The Tensai brazenly walks it in.
Minute on the clock and a big set here for Navi, who are looking for money and, more importantly, a little higher seeding as we approach the postseason. Crazy Raccoon have done all the work possible. Now they're just looking to make a statement here. Suzuku stunned. Levi dashes forward. They grab the first. Moya looking to play defense. Satampo with a little bit of an interception. A kick away. A choppy super pass off the wall. It's going to be right-hand in. Tensai trying to juggle Tensai.
I can walk
Levi trying to walk it in. Can't quite do it. Successful defense.
Again, I guess we're forgetting just how much damage that Chester can put out. Tensai being able to play 1 versus 2 and defend there. Keep the set alive for Crazy Raccoon is huge. Now we're starting to tick down. 26 seconds left in the round. A Chapi with that hypercharge available, and Crazy Raccoon have to know it. Here it comes. Tensai Shitapo split away from it. It was used when Navi weren't exactly in possession of the ball. So now they're going to do more. Suzuku's very, very low here, about to be desuited, but was able to find Moya at the very least. So a player advantage here now for Navi as they want to come forward. Tensai a little bit low, but Suzuku might fall. One shot for Tensai was all it took. An attempted trick shot for a Chapi goes wrong, and they're overexposed. One more shot here from Tensai would claim them. It's Moya that finishes the job. We're into overtime, and Crazy Raccoon have the numbers.
Here we go again. CR with the presence. They've got the teleports. They've got the supers, and one of them just connected to Suzuku. Throws it top right-hand end as Tensai charges him against the wall. Grabs this ball. Super pass forward. Levi, the lone man there. Suzuku rushing in. Now Levi just trying to climb up this map. They need some positioning here to back Crazy Raccoon away.
Enough time at least for the spawners to come back for Crazy Raccoon. Levy finding some important eliminations there after being a little quiet on that brawler for much of this map so far. A little bit low as they step forward. Levy stunned up. They're going to get brought down. That is the antithesis to Stu's existence, being stopped dead in his tracks. And here come Crazy Raccoon again.
It's a game of swings to momentum, and right now it's all Crazy Raccoon. A good offense here, good in the set. Levi, interception, corner ball. A Choppy trying to cut this off.
Hypercharge.
Super pass over.
Unreal.
Just in the nick of time. Everybody falls. What a set! Another tie!
Oh yeah, we're doing it again. I don't care if it's 3 o'clock a.m., folks. That was ridiculous. And it came down to, what, less than 10 health there for a Chapi. Some ridiculously low number. Has to pop the hypercharge just for the raw stats here to stay alive. 420, I like it. Respect it so much, and eventually being able to defend that out. That's all that stood between Navi and another map, a set loss, excuse me.
23 HP, and the final dagger was, I believe, the Stu Burn chipping in. They had barley damage, they had Stu Burn. It took all of that just to bring down one singular brawler that could have changed the entire course of this match. Still 1-0, but this one feels very important for the momentum swing for either of these sides. This has been by far the toughest set of the day.
Oh, this is going to be a goal surely here for Navi. Shitapa, the only one that could really stop them, but a Chapi walks straight on through, and he gets the meg pressure. Suzuku might get demech there, but they're able to find an elimination, and that's still a 3v2.
Two teams just making big plays right now. Navi looking to strike once again here. Ball, top right-hand side. Levi dribbling, juking, dancing around his
Surely this is it.
Suzuku has a super available. Enough HP to try and walk it through, but Satampo has the ball. It's a Choppy with the interception, puts it right-hand side. A dive through from Satampo will end any semblance of offense from Navi, but Crazy Raccoon need more.
Just as the barley committed, Shitapa goes in with that super. That is some classy stuff. Fancy footwork here from the Grey. We're going to need to see more of it if Crazy Raccoon are going to get themselves back in this round. Remember, already Navi have scored a goal, just overwhelming the Crazy Raccoon setup, who has to play with such mechanical prowess in order just to mimic a fraction of Navi's team comp's power.
Tough spot for Navi right here. It's all defense. Thankfully, they have an Achapi super. Try and push CR away, force them back a little bit off of this ball. They have a teleport to get in and out at a moment's notice. They're hiding behind these walls, and Satampo dives in, all of his teammates there to try and rescue Achapi. The heals go out from that herbal tonic, and the result's still the same. Navi are just trying to take away time off this clock.
All right, this is going to create some space here for Navi now. That hypercharged super from Achapi allows Navi to move up on this right-hand side. Levy pretty threatening to Moya here at this kind of range. I'm going to dodge away from that. That's some great Stu damage. Tensai, though, trying to ignore Levy studiously, sending the ball to the right-hand side of the map, but now it's getting a little dicey. Suzuki's playing awful close, and that ball is encroaching. An attempt there from Sitapa to try and stave off Navi, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And finally,
2-0, and what took everything just to
with
win.
2 monthly finals in their region means a whole lot. Now, would it mean I'd crown Na'Vi?
Is great. Just him being in that hybrid support option with the little offense, the long range, especially considering there's a Barley on the other end. I think this team did a great job at managing that for the most part, but obviously still enough for Na'Vi to get a win.
Yeah, also the Byron, I think, to support the mid-range brawlers in like the Chester, for example, who does want to get in the face to some degree. Daring Phoenix is going to be our third set of this series, folks. We are tied 1 apiece here. We're headed now over to knockout. We've actually seen a little bit of Otis this evening, oddly enough. And it worked out really well. Crazy Raccoon made that pick to shut down Chester. But since then, I've been trying to maliciously abuse him for themselves. Let's jump into picks and bans here for this third set.
And I fully expected Kit not to be available. Tick has been one of the higher ban rates here as well, and Lily is so threatening. I think just the ability to pop that gadget at a moment's notice, get to the other outside, get up in the face of enemies. When everybody only has 1 life in this game mode, just 1 quick kill from Lily can be really, really valuable. It's not going to be banned here, so curious to see if we see an appearance from either side. Once again, but teams really electing to go thrower early here. I just feel like in this meta in particular, after the balance change set that we just got, there's so many good options between Barry now joining the fray. That's just one more excellent one. Barley getting a big boost with that hypercharge. Larry and Lori still around. Tick really annoying on this map. Sprout really annoying on this map. Really makes you debate, and you want to make sure you claim one of those guys early.
Crazy Raccoon, though, opting just for very strong all-purpose, all-round brawlers, right? There's a sense of I don't know, like there's a sense of determinism about an end round going up against an RT, because obviously he splits from the legs and becomes just an insane close range brawler that is quite durable, really. And obviously the Gene will yield you plenty of opportunities to gain player advantages by the use of that magic hand there. So ton of options that Gene gives you. The Buster comps sometimes like to hide away until they're sort of ready to dive on in, right? Buster can build super by playing close to teammates. It doesn't need to do damage in order to gain that. And we'll be able to sort of shut down RT's damage for the most part. It's a Dynamite. Okay. Well, Thrower's still being prioritized. Maybe not the one we expected to see, is Crazy Raccoon had to deal with the onslaught of a Dynamite in their first set of these monthly finals.
Buster was the brawler on the left-hand side I fully anticipated seeing. He's very popular in this map, one of the most played and one of the most successful in terms of win rate overall. When you look at the other end, Barley, Tick, and Sprout all banned for Crazy Raccoon. They're kind of removing as many thrower options as possible. I'm sure they're counting on Barry getting banned to the other end, because obviously they're just going to scoop him up if they don't. As a result, they're kind of left with a couple thrower options, right? They get either Grom or Dynamite. Grom, I would say, is much more popular, and that's shown in monthly qualifiers too. Dynamite, somebody with a 45% win rate that they're counting on here for the big damage, maybe the stun capabilities. This is certainly going to take some good mechanics, though, from the CR side.
Definitely, though, like you said, it's a thrower map in a big way. You can see just how it gets broken up. It's hard to find long sight lines, but that's exactly what Shitapo is going to be spending a lot of this round looking for. And I think the Dynamite makes it a pretty scary prospect for Na'Vi to come forward. They have such a tanky comp, though. At some point, they are going to want to try and force an engagement here with Crazy Raccoon. And they'll need to do that before they get poked out. See, Moya, he's really wanting some info here. And he gets what he came for.
Just trying to spot out where the other brawlers are. Levi looking to make a rotation to the left-hand end. Choppy just kind of fighting against Tensai. The thrower duel going down, and Suzuku can't really do much. I mean, Meg used to be much longer range, and now it's a little bit different interaction, right? More that mid-range as Levi crawls his way up, gets a little tap here. Choppy doing work on that right-hand end. Suzuku claims one, looking for a second. The swipe goes through, and then the Fog will do the rest of the work. Round 1 going to the passive Na'Vi.
Yeah, that's really dominant showing fair from Na'Vi. Eventually, you just pop the montage and take space as the gas starts to converge. Crazy Raccoon need to find a way to force a fight. They do have a magic hand up here for Moya this round. Suffice to say, it has to hit, and it has to hit specifically onto the Larry and Lori.
No real chance if you grab Suzuku, especially with a super. It's just going to be a ton of damage slapping you in the face. Levi can push them away once again. Ideally would have wanted to use that super to move up like we saw in that round number 1, but they are forced to do it on defense here as Moya looking to press the issue. Levi with plenty of HP now, recharging. They're going to try and keep Suzuku in this mech as long as possible. Choppy needs to be careful too, though. CR is certainly hitting some shots right now.
Okay, Levy low enough to guarantee an instant kill there. Moya just really working on poking the Buster down. Enough that it actually became a viable target for a magic hand. So now you don't have the montage up. This means your RT really gets enabled on the side of Crazy Raccoon. Those shots can't be bounced back at you anymore, and you can just bully Suzuku like this.
He's just going to step away into the fog. I mean, it's not going to make too much of a difference considering Crazy Raccoon all have supers available coming into this round 3. And on the other end with Na'Vi, all those resources exhausted. They're looking to charge up those supers, so definitely an advantage here for Crazy Raccoon.
Moya needs to be careful. Maybe don't hypercharge this super, because if you pull in the Buster and the Meg, you're giving Na'Vi exactly what they want here. It's one of those situations where it's actually disadvantageous to use that hypercharge. Don't want to catch anyone by accident here. No one wants to go fishing for dinner and catch Moby Dick.
Moya's been really quiet here too. I was debating if he was just going to kind of not shoot a shot, let the other team kind of guess where he is, and then go for a nasty pull. But you bring up a good point. You don't want to get too much more than you can chew. It's going to be just a lone man on the right-hand din. Tensai, Satampo making their presence felt in the mid. There's a takedown. That is huge. A 3v2 situation is looking bleak for Na'Vi.
Yeah, now there's no long-range pressure on Crazy Raccoon. They can actually give this ground without being afraid that the thrower will just ruin their day. Great stuff for Crazy Raccoon here, and a beautiful, organic, free-range USDA pick onto that Larry and Laurie towards the end of that round to set things up for Crazy Raccoon. You can't guarantee those, you can't rely on them, but when you find them, it's going to give you a round win.
I think just being aware of the positioning of the other team was big, because that opening round, it got away from him, I think, when Buster kind of flanked that left-hand side and just walked forward with a super outside of maybe a Dynamite lob. You can't really connect if you're RT. Oh, but this is catastrophic. A sneaky little pull there. That's what I was talking about. You got to know where the big man is. They had no clue and walked right into a trap.
What's dangerous here for Crazy Raccoon is that they've had no time to build up any supers as well. And I don't think that Dynamite is going to be allowed to do that either. Levy just steps up here and says, okay, maybe a Chapi can build super off this before I take Tensai down. He says, no, let's just get this over with anyway. Slow-mo replay, absolutely terrifying.
I think that's a fantastic point too, is that it went by so fast. Moya, Tensai, Satampo, no time to charge any resources, and Levi's already got another super in the tank. Not only are they walking into this round with an advantage, but they got a clean win where really all it took was one gadget from Levi to get this win.
This time, though, Crazy Raccoon are ready for it. They are much more invested in pressuring this bush area at the bottom of your screen that Levy is occupying. And Tensai does have super, which accounts for a huge amount of burst damage and potentially some wall break to give Shitapo better sidelines in general. Levy has a crack at it there. I think he popped his super. No connection, though. And now Moya has that magic hand. The supers are online for CR.
Suzuki's going to really have to nail some shots here to get back in mech form in the nick of time. Super's available now, a sun going down. Levi reflecting everything right now, though. Dynamite just trying to keep the distance, and Levi's sheer amount of HP forcing them away. This is an interesting matchup, though. Satampo low HP. They do take down Laurie. Tensai working the tank on the other end, though, and now it's just the big mech. Now dwindled down to just a pea shooter. She's just going to run it back into the fog. Now CR all of a sudden have some supers walking into this next round. What looked like a very difficult one, they make look easy. This one might even be going their way in terms of walking into this one with an advantage.
I mean, that's exactly what Moya did. He walked up on a Chapi. He just fought the Larry. Just disrespected the damage and eventually got in his face. And remember, you're doing like 2,800 per shot as Gene at that range. That's quite significant. You know, he's no longer just a slightly annoying support brawler. All of a sudden, he's, you know, he's three-shotting you consistently. So Chapi not respecting it in that moment. Moya now has built that hypercharge. We talked about the potential pitfalls of using that, but hey, any pick is a good pick here where the rest of your team has their hypers up as well.
2 purple buttons available, a super for Satampo as well, and Levi once again just kind of forced to use this on defense. Typically you want to see Buster use that super to move your team forward. Instead though, it's kind of just to remain pleasant, to stay afloat. It's definitely not what you want to see with Na'Vi going into this foggy situation where the storm's going to start to close in and they don't have a super to show for it.
Eventually, Crazy Raccoon going to have to make the play here. Try and whittle Na'Vi down to 2. Okay, big old magic hand empowered by the hypercharge. Levy blow to smithereens instantly. Moya's got to be a little bit careful though. The magic puffs need to go to work, but Shitapo
Set win. I mean, I know multiple round ones didn't go their way.
They have good options when the gas starts to close in. You see what Shitapo was doing.
Right now, there are just so many good options. They banned 3 of them themselves. Barry, of course, arguably one of the strongest brawlers in the game right now. That's why we've seen him banned so much. And still, brawlers like Dynamite down the pedestal a little bit for throwers are still popping off. I just think it's so important right now. It's kind of understanding the meta shifting a little bit. You know, it's a brand new month where typically in the past, if you pick a thrower early, you're going to be punished for it. They're just going to go some assassin type route that's going to counter those brawlers really well. Instead, though, they're kind of the MVPs today.
Yeah, I think like those high mobility brawlers definitely coveted in the past, but maps like Flare and Phoenix, for example, it's a little cluttered, really. Like throwers definitely are favored there. You can also say the same for Hot Zone, right? There are definitely safe havens to play from, but this is the kind of map where if you see a thrower, you can pick Mortis or Buzz and just run at them with impunity. We've seen both of those brawlers be really, really good here. That being said, Meg is still amazing on this map. You know, Sandy has definitely been highly prioritized because the way that these barriers work allows you to get really close up to the hot zone, even if you're not actually contesting it. Also, we see Nita return on this in this map in this region, so keep an eye out for that one. Stu also, by the way, has almost a 70% win rate on this map.
That's definitely really interesting. Very high for him as well. I don't know if it's a top pick necessarily, but that's something, depending on how the draft goes, that I could totally see being on that 4 or 5 turn, or maybe a 6 pick overall, depending on what they want here. Gale, just as a first pick on this map in particular, I feel like makes a lot of sense if you're this team. You have multiple throwers banned. There's still a few left that if you really want to go for it, you can, but without Barry, Barley, Larry, Laurie, I would say those are the more popular ones on this map in particular. I don't really foresee Sprout or Grom showing up here. You might get something like a Dynamite later down the road, but this is going to prevent any ideas of tanks coming running at you, especially ones like Frank that are really good, Lily that are really good in the meta right now. I just feel like that's the safe option right now.
Yeah, even like tanks like Buster still pretty relevant on this kind of map here. So Frank gets picked up for Na'Vi. It's going to be the second time we've seen it on stream tonight, and the first time we saw just how exploitable it was, but that was a different game. This is Na'Vi versus Crazy Raccoon, and now the latter probably have to discuss how they plan to counter this. Sandy too, this is a very good draft.
Yeah, this is a solid setup, I would say, for the side of Na'Vi. I mean, they have Chester, who's traditionally an anti-tank brawler, but it's going to take a lot to bring 15,000 plus HP down with the Frank. I think Sandy is a very coveted brawler in this region on this particular map as well. Gale going to be a good one here. Just in general, I think as a control brawler for just the hot zone alone, Ims is going to be the selection here. They're going to have to keep the distance. They're going to have to play this one right. They can't get overrun by Frank. If they can do that, it's going to be all right. I feel like once this team kind of loses control, though, it might be really difficult for CR to retake.
Yeah, a couple of important things, I guess, to point out is that, like, Tensai's stun super is going to be very impactful against the Frank if you're able to, you know, if you can't shrug that off with a gadget or something. And, of course, you know, the indestructible box is very important for avoiding that Frank hypercharged super. Nice friend zone there for Shitampo. They made short work of that Frank.
Wow, they shut down the entire roster of Na'Vi in a moment's notice. They've got the launch pad if they want to get there a little more quickly too, but they've certainly been taking some hits here. I love the coordination from CR, just to make sure they're focusing one brawler at a time. And I mean, goodness, they're not missing a shot right now. This is looking chaos. Goodness gracious.
I mean, he triple hit Achapi on the way in. Achapi was dead man walking there with all that tick damage that was bound to come in. Chitampo also has super available in just a moment. It's going to be a huge nuisance for the Frank, who will look to clear the map a little bit now. Levy steps up. You only get a glimpse of that ridiculous fire rate from the Frank before he gets blown to smithereens, and now Achapi will also fall. Crazy Raccoon, man, such an impressive composition playing at mid-range here. Nothing even Levy can do about there.
Oof, I mean, it's just a yikes. There's no other way around it. CR have not wavered. At this point, I think Na'Vi are just going to let this one go. It's on to the next game. They're going to cycle in one brawler at a time, and it's not going to matter too much here. CR, kings of old, looking to make sure that they remind the world that they are sitting atop this region, and they're now one game away from claiming their second monthly finals of the year.
What a way to do it as well. You would have bookended the monthly finals run, winning in March and now winning in July. In the middle, we don't talk about that too much. There were ups, there were downs, there were tears, there were laughter. Either way, this team has secured themselves that #1 seed heading into Worlds now. Okay. Na'Vi definitely need to be grouped up here. Going into 1s and 2s definitely didn't help them in that last round, but even then it might not be enough. This comp is so impressive from Crazy Raccoon. Shitapo, King Suzuku under the thumb, and Tensai just playing with his food here against this Frank.
It does not help that Moya has, I think, only missed one shot this entire game. Levi taking a swipe at him, not enough though. Tensai just going to keep the distance. A great roll for Chester. A perfect one to pull from that bag of tricks.
Tensai was trolling. He was playing within the exact radius of that Frank super, knowing that one step he'd be out of it. And he managed to get Levy to throw it down. This guy is living rent-free in this guy's head. Look at the spacing, sorry, that Tensai is leaving. Like, Levy cannot touch him, won't touch him.
And Satapa playing a perfect lane matchup here too. It's awesome to see Ems into a Sandy. It's really difficult to deal with. That's a good silence though. A Choppy definitely getting a kill necessary there. Levi doing his best. I feel like he's just kind of a body bag right now. He's wasting resources from the enemy side, but he hasn't really been able to pick up a ton.
Okay, but so, as that was all happening though, Na'Vi winning the fights on the left-hand side of the map and even keeping their Sandy in the running for so long has given them a lead. Crazy Raccoon, though, I don't think we're about to give that up now with the supers available. Have a Sandstorm thrown down. But Na'Vi's ability to capitalize on this is really limited because Crazy Raccoon have so many ways of getting info with these shots. Tensai, though's going to get caught by this hypercharged super. Shitapa was able to get away just in time, but Crazy Raccoon have a slim lead and Levy is not going anywhere. Caustic Charisma going to hold the Frank in place and Moya does not miss. Crazy Raccoon get off the point briefly. Hachapi hoping to cycle himself onto it, but this will give CR the lead they need to take us into the last phase of this round.
It's a wide open map and 10% to go for Crazy Raccoon. They're holding on to this hot zone. The pushback from a Choppy though, 3% remain. Tensai
by re-establishing dominance, reminding everybody
it's really gone the way I think they would have anticipated. I'm sure they walked into this one thinking they'd win more monthly finals.
On that Chester, really impressive to see that go down. Moya though gonna be your MVP for that series, and of course a massive component on that Byron of what got Crazy Raccoon over the line. What a team, man. Again, it's going to be hard not to be a little